Hey, before we officially begin the political content of today's monologue, I want to take this opportunity to tell you that yes, I really am a pastor. Yes, I really do pastor a church. It is Plain Church in Bowling Green, Ohio. Let me just say that we never shut down. We never stopped ministry, even during the pandemic, the quarantines, the shutdowns, the house arrest, whatever term you want to give it. We continue to have services. For a time and a season, we did an outdoor drive-in style service, but we still met in person, inside, on Wednesday nights for a midweek service. We continued many of our ministries. We are now back inside, have been for several weeks. Our kids' ministries are up and running again. There are a lot of churches in the Ohio area that still haven't gone back inside, and the few that have are doing nothing right now for children or any extension ministry. They're just doing Sunday. So let me take this opportunity to put out a shameless plug for our church. If you live in the Ohio area around Toledo, Bowling Green, let me extend an invitation for you and yours to come pay us a visit at Plain Church.
Well, is it anything like the content on this video that you do every day?
What do you think? So come on over, pay us a visit, and if you don't live in our area, we invite you to look at our ministry through plainchurch.com. Governor Andrew Cuomo of the People's Republic of New York is in the hot seat right now, even by the normally friendly media to him. Now, the New York media has gotten off of the "we're in love and we can't help it" with the Andrew Cuomo syndrome long time ago. National media, a little slow. At first, I think they thought that maybe he was going to be the guy that could replace Joe Biden, because they do understand Biden's got to be replaced. And then the shine started to come off the rose when it was deemed that not only did New York have such an incredibly high death rate from coronavirus, but then it was the New York Times that began to report, well, hold it, time out, we got a problem here. You're misreporting. You're reporting everything as corona death. If somebody had a heart attack but tested positive for corona, you listed their death as corona. And that has been substantiated. So we don't even really know what the real death rate is in New York. And let me just pause to say, we don't even know what it is in the United States. When we start hearing about the death rate's going up, it's going up, and the hospitalizations are going up, it's going up. Let me give you two quick things before I get to Governor Andy Cuomo. Number one, there is more testing going on. So yes, we are going to find out that more people have it.
Well, then the numbers should be coming down.
No, the numbers will go up. Now, the fact that there's more people going into hospitals, this is what the liberals are saying to try to inflame that. Aha, see, these Republican governors like in Texas and Florida never should have reopened this fast. This is the new narrative. Understand, this is to continue to reinforce the fear, get you to wear the mask of fear, etc., etc., etc. Hospitals took a big hit during coronavirus because they were told all types of non-essential services had to stop. You're not going to do tonsillectomies. You're not going to do this. You're not going to do that. Only extreme emergencies, but you got to keep those beds available for the influx of corona patients. Well, there was no influx. So what's happening now in certain places, hospitals needing to make up revenue because they're behind the eight ball financially and they want to reopen too. So now if you test positive for corona, they're going to stick you in a hospital bed, whether you need to be there or not. Check that out. Look that up. That is what's happening right now. And again, it's designed to drive up the fear, drive up the hysteria, and make people like Governor Cuomo, who continue to keep their people in lockdown, as some type of genius, and he's a savior. He actually is making the news cycles right now, referring to governors like Abbott and DeSantis as murderers, that they recklessly open too quickly and they're needlessly killing their people. You know, a guy like Andy Cuomo has no shame whatsoever. So to give this type of individual any type of credence, any type of legitimacy, absolutely just makes my skin crawl. It makes my blood boil. I'm from the People's Republic of New York. Born and raised there, spent 40 years of my life there. I'm well acquainted with the Cuomo family, having endured and grown up under Governor Mario Cuomo, the failed baseball player who decided, well, I couldn't, can't play shortstop, can't bat, so I guess I'll go into politics. I wish some major league team had actually given him a shot. Then we wouldn't have had him, and we wouldn't have had the Cuomo dynasty. That said, it was Governor Cuomo who decided to put people who tested positive for coronavirus, to put them in nursing homes. And his first defense of that was, hey, this is what the CDC said. This is what the government said, i.e. President Trump. This is what he said. Now, what they actually said was, we have to keep hospital beds available for the critical, for the emergency, and to have a 90-year-old person lie in a hospital bed for 2 weeks is probably not prudent if, and that was the word, if they can be put someplace where they can't infect others, they can't spread other than a hospital, that would be a good thing. So Cuomo took that and mandated then that nursing homes had to take people who had tested positive for coronavirus because they had to keep those hospital beds open. And he got nailed for it. Well, then, he tried the whole, well, the government made me do it. The government made me do it. And reporters pushed back and said, no, Mr. Governor, you had the authority to say whether you were or weren't going to do that. These were guidelines, not federal mandates. So then he said, well, we were following the guidelines, but at the end of the day, it's the nursing home's fault.
I've always followed CDC guidance, and I think it makes sense. And by the way, I think the rule that you can't discriminate against the COVID patient is right. That doesn't mean the nursing home has to accept a COVID positive patient. They conflate those two things. I understand because politically facts don't matter, just you're making a political argument. But because you can't discriminate doesn't mean you have to accept. Actually, the law is the opposite. You cannot accept a patient at a nursing home unless you can fully and adequately treat that patient. So you can't accept a COVID patient, COVID positive patient, unless you can isolate and quarantine and have the staff. Unless you can do all that, you cannot accept that person.
Yes, boys and girls, you heard it here. It was live and not Memorex. He actually blamed nursing home administrators. You took these people when you weren't prepared to. That's on you, not on me. This guy is your typical rat weasel, no good, and I can't say it because, it's a family show, type of individual that just thrives in politics. He's just a slimy individual. On the first hand, nursing homes in the state of New York began screaming, we don't have the resources, we don't have what we need to do this. And Cuomo said, that's up to you to get it. He didn't offer them the protective gear that they needed, more face masks, more rubber gloves, ventilators, etc. No, it's up to you to get that stuff. Oh, really? At the same time, he's screaming at Trump, you haven't given me anything to work with here. And Trump's saying, wait a minute, whoa, time out. Why are you a governor of a major state in this union? Why did you not already have these things in reserve and ready to go? Oh, that's right, because the New York Times, everybody forgets this, the New York Times exposed the fact that Cuomo, so he had more money in his budget for all of his social justice experimentation laws and mandates and projects, like making sure that there was curriculum available to educate children on the acceptance of transgenderism. He had to cut money from his budget in places so he could pay for all of this social justice reengineering crapola, mind brainwash crap. One of the things that he cut from his own budget was things like ventilators and stockpiling supplies in time of epidemic or pandemic. That was on Governor Cuomo. He didn't do that. And because he didn't do that, because they weren't prepared, Well, he then turned to the president. But on the same token, he's yelling at nursing home administrators, you didn't have to take these people. You didn't have to take these people. You took them and you weren't prepared. That's on you. No, Mr. Governor, it was on you to make sure they had what they needed. But his excuse making didn't end there.
Governor, House Republicans are looking into New York's March 25th order that directed nursing homes to take in infected patients. This thing is not going away, sir. 6,300 people died in New York nursing homes. That is the most in this country. The more time has passed, the more your office has been able to look into this. Do you take responsibility for that order and the role it may have played in those deaths?
Yes, we had more people die in nursing homes than anywhere else because we had more people die. Because the federal government missed the boat and never told us that this virus was coming from Europe and not from China.
What did he just say? Because the government didn't act fast enough to tell him it was Europe and not China. That doesn't even pass the laugh test. That is the dumbest explanation. Even the media is not buying that. And he keeps rolling it out, trying to say it, hoping it'll pick up traction. Well, you know, they didn't stop travel from Europe fast enough, and this is why we had all these infections in New York City. When the president enacted the travel ban against China, because it is the Kung flu, was I not supposed to say that? Even though the Obama administration used the same phrase, well, you know, there I go clouding the issue with facts. Okay, whether it came through China or came through Europe, which we know China gave it to Europe, and obviously, okay, so you got all kinds of people coming into New York City, travelers. How does that explain your decision to put people who were infected in nursing homes? Hint, it doesn't. So I would get off that narrative really, really quickly. So you're running out of people to blame, and since you don't want to accept any responsibility yourself, Governor, who could you possibly blame next?
By the time a person was transferred after 9 or 10 days, they were no longer contagious. And what all the data says is the reason you had infections in the nursing homes were because the staff brought in the infection. And you look at the communities that had the high infection rate overall, those are the communities that had nursing homes with a high infection rate.
Really? You're going to blame the frontline workers on this. You're going to blame the nurses aides, the people in the nursing homes themselves. They're the ones. It's through their carelessness, their recklessness, their bringing it in. Are you kidding me? You do know that these people are checked and screened every single day. I can tell you this from personal experience. I have multiple family members and multiple church members who work in this field. For a governor to actually now put the blame on the people that are on the front line giving and administering the care, are you kidding me? This man has no shame. And you know why? He has no scruples. Again, this is a guy that signed into law the most radical pro-abortion legislation in this country. That an abortion in the state of New York can be performed right up to the moment of birth. That means just as that baby is about to come out of the womb, they can kill that baby as long as it's still kind of in the womb. And when he did this, it was done to thunderous applause in the dead of night with only liberal radical Democrats. And there he stood, I should say, sat smiling after he signed it into law. This man is a vile, reprehensible individual. The Bible would refer to him as a reprobate, one who is given over to a mind, a way of thinking that is irredeemable. How anyone gives this man any ounce of credence or credibility, he is a vile, reprehensible human being on every single level. You are responsible. You are. And at the same token, I still do not believe that even in the state of New York, as horrible as they were hit with this pandemic, I don't believe the numbers are as high as they actually are. because you've already proven you've lied. You cooked the books to get more federal funding. And on a nationwide basis, 120,000 dead. Are there? Because again, we don't know how many cases were incorrectly reported as COVID when they really weren't. And since more than half across the nation happened in nursing homes amongst our most vulnerable, again, why are we locking down again? Why are we reinstituting more quarantine on the healthy? And even considering not opening schools in the fall when this doesn't affect them? We're being played. We're being lied to on a grand scale before our very eyes. And when Cuomo sits there and says, this is the Republicans playing politics, no, this is liberals. This is radicals. From the ones protesting in streets and burning and toppling monuments to a Democratic Party that so hates that man in the White House, they will do everything and anything, including making this coronavirus appear to be 100 times deadlier than it actually is, just to instill enough fear in people to vote the president out. After all, AOC already tweeted that. You know, lockdown and loss of income and a loss of a job, that's a small price to pay to get rid of this president. We can go back to normal in November. She tweeted it, she pulled it, it's been screenshot, you can find it. Be careful about posting it, because as soon as you do, it gets pulled again. Hey, thank you so much for watching. Give us a big thumbs up. Make sure you're a subscriber to the channel. Spread this video wherever you can. I really do appreciate you helping us to grow this channel, because we certainly know that YouTube and their algorithm isn't. Let me just point something out. We're here on YouTube, but we're also here. A video that runs here will get about 400 or 500 views. We used to get into thousands. And then YouTube just really hit us with an algorithm and buried us. Over there, I get 1,500, 2,000 every video. Help me, because YouTube certainly isn't. Make sure you're a subscriber, smack the bell, and click the word all to get notification of my next rant.